Hello, I'm Larissa. Welcome to Goblins of Discord. I'm going to do a quickie typing of Robert Pattinson. I kind of like lost my steam on doing these for a little while because I had like a real block around the instincts and just understanding certain aspects, which I feel like is now unblocked and is now flowing freely, which I'll talk about in another video in the near future. So I'm more energized now to make more videos. So yeah, if you subscribe to the Substack, goblinsofdiscord.com, then you can get notifications when I upload some articles. I'll probably write articles on the instincts finally, because finally things make sense to me. Thank you to Rob of AP, who you've seen on this channel probably, because we realized my instincts are actually what I thought they were when I self-typed a million years ago. Anyways, I'm not going to go into that right now. But I'm typing Robert Pattinson. He's so sexy. Yeah, he's in Cosmopolis, The Lighthouse, which I really like. He's in Good Time, which I also really like. Those are both really good movies. High Life, I don't know, obviously he was in Twilight. That's where he became famous, which is like the fucking curse that he's never gonna get away from, although that was his kind of sexy photo era with the big hair. He does have social last hair, I will say. SPSX sexual self-prezi. I mean, he kind of has 9-wing 8, you could argue here, but I don't think so. I think he's 9-wing 1 fixed, and I think he's, yeah, a social last 7-wing 6. To me, it's super obvious that he's a 7-wing 6, and for some reason, other people just don't see it. So I don't know if this video will convince anybody, but he's for sure an unhinged social last head type. Game recognized, game, biatch. Okay.
So, I watched this movie and I'm like, this is so intense to watch, and I can't even imagine what it's like to be playing this part. Could you relate in any way to this kind of?
Look at his face. He's like, it looks like he's trying so hard not. I don't know what this lady looks like. Maybe she looks like ridiculous and he's trying not to laugh, or he's trying to pay attention. This is the read I'm getting on it.
Like isolation that these guys must feel? Is that something that you ever experienced yourself?
Yeah, and I've learned how to deal with isolation pretty well over the years, and so it's kind of, but I remember when I was younger, that kind of frustration of feeling trapped, and
I mean, yes, these are 7 buzzwords. These are type 7 buzzwords. Frustration, feeling trapped. That's the fear of the 7. That is the feeling we're always trying to avoid, is feeling trapped, and then we end up feeling trapped. But that doesn't mean, of course, he could just be 7 fixed, but I still think he's 7.
there's a scene when
And 9-wing 1 in the gut center, so he would have an extra wing 1, and I think he's 3-wing 4 heart, so he would have wing 4 frustration. So he would have, like, yeah, that.
I'm kind of doing jobs around the island, and I just looked up, and Willem's standing on the viewing deck of the lighthouse. And I just suddenly got the feeling when it's like there's nowhere to hide on this island, and if you just have someone who's constantly looking at you.
Also, this is like a fear type, which is a head type 5, 6, 7 frame, I think. And also self-pres, where it's like I have nowhere to hide. If someone's like staring at me, they're intrusive. They're like, I think it's funny because, yeah, like I said, I'll make a video on this, but a lot of stuff that sounds 5y is actually self-pres sexual, I think, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna be intruded upon, I'm gonna be engulfed, someone's gonna spy on me, they're gonna infect me, and he said things in an interview. He said one time, actually, I'm not gonna share this, I don't want people to know this fear of mine. Never mind it, I'm not editing this, so whatever.
I mean, literally, I would have gone absolutely insane. I mean, because I really, really viscerally felt it for a second. And you're just like,
I mean, you could argue this is partly a 9 thing of I don't want to be seen, but that's not really. And look at his face; he's very expressive,
I mean, there's nowhere apart from his.
Like, not image core. So, he's doing like this kind of unself-aware sort of articulation of his face joints and bones and muscles.
The little shed which he hangs out in. But if you're just constantly having to force into interaction with somebody you don't.
And he's also kind of like just conversationally swinging from like positive to like kind of negative, like reactive. Like, again, this kind of thing that like I think 7 wing 6s can do, where they almost seem kind of like crazy.
Don't like. It's awful.
But can you relate to that as an actor sometimes too? And being like a big actor, like a famous actor like yourself, when people always, want a part of you and
Yeah, when I was younger, and I just kind of, I feel like, I don't know what's happened recently that I can just let everything just slide off me now. But when I was younger, I just kind of, when people used to wait outside your house and stuff and you feel trapped inside your house, like, it would drive me really, really, really crazy. But what I can relate to a lot in this is,
I think he actually hung out with a fan once. Again, this kind of seems like some weird 97779 kind of thing of like, and social last he hung out with a fan. Like, some chick was like stalking him, and so he was just like, "Look, you're gonna find me disgusting if you actually hang out with me. So let's just go hang out." And then I think she did, or he says that she did find him gross and left him alone after. I don't know if that's true, but
someone, he, like my character just wants to know what's in the secret room. And if that drives me so nuts. If someone says I can't, if someone tells me I can't go in somewhere, or says they can't tell me something.
Yeah, this is 7 wing 6 right here. 7 assertive narcissist FOMO. Gimme, 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 gimme what I'm not allowed to have. And then the 6 like orientation towards like secrets. Like, you've got the truth. You have the whatever. Like, there's that head thing of
I will lose my mind until
yeah.
I find out what it is. And it's, I mean, everyone's.
Especially with SX, if you think it's juicy, if it's like, if there's going to be something in there that it's like, ooh, what could it be? Like, your imagination is going to be way more satisfying than the reality, though, sadly.
Winds me up all the time, going, oh, I can't say, and I'm literally, I was said that I cannot let it go, and that's kind of where a lot of my characters are.
Yeah, it's like the 7 thing of being cut off from the teat. Give me, I'm gonna keep sucking until if I get milk out of it.
Frustration and madness comes from.
that happens
Yeah, frustration and madness, because he's a frustration and madness type.
a lot to you too, because you can't talk about a lot of things. Like your new big project, I'm sure you can't really talk about.
I've never asked him about anything. I can't talk about the stuff with people.
But also, he does a lot of social last things and 7 wing 6 in interviews where he does say all the stuff that you're totally not supposed to say. Where it's like, oh, you're not supposed to like, and yeah, I don't know. I'll probably do a Megan Fox typing video at some point. Tried doing it a while ago with a couple of people and it went sideways. But there can be, I think, a social last thing and 7 in the mix where it's just like, you're just absolutely getting yourself into trouble and oblivious.
We to talk about, I mean, I try and talk about the lighthouse and none of my answers make any sense.
Can you talk about how you have to
he's
prepare for that?
constantly entertained by himself, which is another 7 wing 6 tell for me, at least.
Physically, because you probably had to work out a lot.
Yeah, and it kind of, I'm glad. I used to hate working out, and like there's something, it's weird, in my 30s I really like it now. I find it very meditative. It's weird when you feel like someone's not forcing it on you and you're doing it for yourself. It's a very different.
Yeah, this is 9 and 7 coded right here, when someone's not forcing me to do it, because 9s have the same thing that 7s do about being told what to do or whatever. And no one likes being told what to do, blah blah blah, or being forced to do stuff, unless you're like some kinky 6. But I think for 7s, and probably 7s with 9, there is a thing that happens in your 30s where you're like, I have to slow down, I have to be with myself, I have to be present. And then things like working out, well, I can't say that working out feels good, but it's like being present feels, you almost just surrender to it because you kind of have to, because it's like, all right, I've run out of road, I've backed myself into all these corners, and now I have to be present. Maybe it's not so bad. I'm sure at some point he will hate working out again because that's also a 7 pattern, but also this could speak to him being self-pres dom, where it's like, oh, like that is actually where he can find like a sense of kind of like inner calm or peace, is by being in that instinct. But I think that probably also just points to 7 and 9.
Experience, but I sort of love working out though. So I'm weirdly looking forward to it.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Also a good way to get out buzzy head energy. Like oh well, here's actually maybe counter to what I just said, but I've noticed sevens also really love dancing. Seven wing eight specifically, or sevens with SP, because it like lets out all of this like pent up frustration. It lets out all of this, I don't know, chaotic energy that kind of just starts to mount if you don't have like a creative outlet or a physical way to externalize it. So for nines, I think the motivation is more. Um, I don't know what the motivation is for nines, but for sevens at least, that's how I think it is.
the dieting.
The dieting too, because literally, I definitely I'm an extremist, and so
I'm an extremist, yes. Also, curse of seven. I think this is also a curse of seven with, well, you could say it for all the instincts, perhaps. Maybe SX makes it worse.
I'll eat nothing but pizzas for months. I mean,
Yeah, I think that this is, I do this kind of stuff too, because I hate thinking about food. So I used to sometimes do stuff like that, where I would just make a shitload of burritos and then freeze them all, wrap them up, and put them in my freezer, and then I would just eat burritos, 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 burritos. Because it's like a line to five or line to one, where you just become ascetic and hermetic, and just like I'm just whittling down like this kind of competency thing of like I'm just gonna, and now I don't have to think about it.
so by the time I have the diet, my body's like, oh, thank God, like, please, just only healthy stuff from now on.
So now you're just gonna eat a lot of pizza before
Oh
that.
yeah, I've been doing it for months.
And I think this is also why sevens, especially, I mean, actually, again, any instincts probably can get sick because, or it's just like you might just eat candy or something. You might just live off, or like hacks that sometimes I think I have scurvy. So then I'll be like, okay, we'll put lemon in my alcohol. So it's like you come up with these weird little hacks, I think, to kind of subvert the damage you're doing because you don't want to. It's like, yeah, you can competency line, but also then there's this part of like, I just don't want to do this thing that's boring. So I'm gonna find like this shortcut to doing it, so I don't have to really do it, and then you end up paying for it later, which is also, the curse of the seven, and you can end up like really hurting yourself or like fucking yourself up. Different than how like yeah other types do it. I want to keep this short though, but
I've been bulking.
So how are you preparing for that? Because I mean, you
yeah,
were
playing against him having nine wing eight gut. He's not bulking, although not all nine wing eight gut fixes are. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's a nine wing what gut center, nine wing one gut center. I don't really have good points for that yet.
such a big star. You are still a big star, but people were like the fans were a little crazy. And are
Actually, kind of does look a little bit nine wing eight influence. Maybe I'll backwalk that one.
going to be like that again now when this other big movie is coming out? Are you prepared for it now?
I mean, I think it's always different. I mean, I think with Twilight, it was literally from.
There's a kind of look that seven wing six and nine wing eight sometimes have, especially with three fix. I don't know how to. I can draw it, but I can't tell it to you. And I am working on some drawings of it. Although now that I've said it, I want to edit this because I'm sure someone will fucking copy me anyways. Want you to know I have Pluto in my first house for the next 20 years because I rectified my chart and I realized I'm an Aquarius rising. Anyways, I'll do black magic on you. So
1 month, there's nothing. I mean, the next month, it's like fully massive. And I think that was it's a sort of strange learning curve. But then everything comes in like ebbs and flows. And also, like, I think when you're older, like people just, this is a, this everyone only cares about young people nowadays. Young people with Instagrams. As long as you don't have Instagram, it's fine.
You're still young though. Thank you.
okay. Also, yeah, he looks like Florence Welch, I think. So yeah. I'm gonna redo her instincts because I think she might be social last. I typed her SPSO, but I think she might be SXSP or SPSX. She's seven wing six, nine wing one, four wing three. I think I already said this, but fuck. But yeah, um, this is kind of partly why I feel like he's 911 fixed though too. Maybe not 918 because there's I don't know. There's this like thin-lipped. This isn't flattering. There's like this thin-lipped. I don't know, like wittily, gangly, but but not poised because social last, but like spindly, like um pointy. It's like not nine wing eight, like mulch pillow swamp thing. It's more like I don't know, refined, refined chaos or like refined mess. You know what I mean? Where it's like you walk into a room and a nine wing eight room might be like just fucking shit everywhere and you might step on something and like end up with a nail through your foot or like and, or like there's like a squirrel living under the bed and a pile of hair or something. And I feel like nine wing one mess is more like organized chaos. You know what I mean? Like the person still knows where things are. I don't know if this makes sense. Okay.
I could say like you're like really good at walking.
What? Almonds.
That's like a social last, maybe a speed up compliment.
You have like weird teas.
Weird teas? They're just
Then you have like
teas.
Used to use your toilet because mine didn't work.
Where?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Robert
Yeah,
Pattinson.
like also like what is he talking about? I mean those were clips, but
I'm Zoe Kravitz, and we're from the movie The Batman, and we're gonna do this BuzzFeed co-star test.
Let's do it.
I'm not sure. She might be some iteration of 379 or 972 or something. So they're sort of in the same realm.
Here are the rules.
It's also good. I don't want to type her, but for like like a head type versus a not head type.
Oh, I'm sweating.
Check off
Like he's awkward and he's like like he's kind of like telling you every thought in his head. Like it's like I'm sweating. Weird tease. Like it's like there's not really a filter, especially social last. It's like even less of a filter, right?
each of the details you're absolutely sure you know about your co-star.
Go. You're doing the first.
All right, here we go. Their full birthday.
What's your birthday?
But now I can't stop wondering if like did they hook up? Did Lawrence Welch and Robert Pattinson hook up? Did they? They should hook up. Oh, he took her and her sister to see the Arctic monkeys. I wonder if they did that. I really want to do myself, so I'm like intrigued by this. Okay. No,
Come back.
which one? Where is it?
Okay, Rob's birthday it's in May.
Half a point.
When's my birthday?
I think you're a Capricorn, no?
No.
Sagittarius?
Yes.
I don't know when Sagittarius is. It's like a
Yeah, because sevens are psychic. 7 6s are just psychic. We just have the answers. We don't know where they come from. It's not like 9 just knowing things or thinking they know things and telling you they know things, but they don't actually tell you what they know because they're making it up. It's like 7s say it.
at the end of the year. You seem like a kind of Christmas Day.
What am I, Jesus?
A Christmas child. I
Okay,
say January. No, like no, towards the end, like 28th of December, something like that. Maybe a couple beginning of January.
It's the opposite of what you're saying. You said beginning.
End of January. Beginning of December.
I mean, I know he's not forfix, but I entertained it because I can see this like strangeness, but I think it's social lastness. But 3-wing-4, I think makes sense. He's still got some, I don't know, crazy dark 4 with 7 sort of 9 kind of influence, but but I don't think that I think he's 3-wing-4 in the heart center. He looks more, I mean, he looks kind of like Florence Welch, but I think that he looks less 4 and more 3. He doesn't really do anything particularly 3-ish other than he's more like amiable, I think, and like I don't think he's like relatable, but he's like not throwing up blocks I watched one interview where he was complaining a lot about working on the lighthouse, but I don't know where it is. And it was like a lot of frustration, annoyances, and like it was really cold and like da 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 da, where he was kind of doing. But I think it was 3-wing-4 prissiness, and 7-wing-6 core prissiness, like irritation, frustration.
Yes. 1 point for me.
Okay, so I think we know the same amount. I know that your birthday's in May. You know that my birthday is sometime in December.
Yeah, and you're sort of towards the end. Neither one. Okay, I know what your middle name is. Isabella. Does it?
Yeah, I don't know what your middle name is.
No one does.
The dressing room must have. I actually know what, because I actually.
Like, again, like 7667 space of like weird little voices. Not that other types don't do that. I know, whatever.
You went in your dressing room.
What?
It was without you realizing.
Used to use your toilet because mine didn't work.
Where? No, you didn't. That's not true.
Which is
Yeah,
also like trying to make light of something where it's like, oh, he saw her reaction. She was like, what do you mean? And she's like, he was like kind of making it silly. And that's kind of a 7 trick, where it's like we're saying something kind of rude or we're admitting to doing something kind of, I don't think going to someone's dressing room is that big of a deal, but, and then you make light of it by being like goofy.
Little candles.
Yeah, I have candles.
How else
And
would
he's
I?
also kind of zeroing on like SP interesting things to him, like you're doing your main instinct, and you notice the thing in your instinct through the lens of your type. So he's like kind of noticing the strange SP things about her a lot in these comments. Or like what he's mentally logging is kind of interesting or strange about her, like the way she walks, or I don't know.
I know. No, I walked in by accident once.
Coca-Cola.
No.
No?
I don't really have
She's vibing with it because she's, I think, the same tri-fixation.
any must-haves. I've never even in the dressing room, ever.
No, I don't know him. Okay, you get that one too. I do have candles. Their go-to activity in between filming scenes. I don't know, you like go down your
Do you have like tea and stuff? You have like weird teas.
weird teas? They're just
Then you have like
teas. Or coffee. Coffee.
like
Yours
weird
coffee.
shit like that.
Yours coffee.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, probably, yeah. 1 point.
Okay.
Coffee order. I think you have the same one as me. Then you have like a
Like
an
a
oat
latte, an
milk
oat
latte.
latte. Their first role. Harry Potter?
That wasn't actually my first role. One of. That's like,
Come on.
That's pretty good though.
I get this one.
I've got no idea. I'm sorry.
Oh, my first role was
Maybe she's a theory. She's like a low key, softly competitive. Maybe not quite as great though.
in a film called No Reservations,
Ooh.
starring Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart.
I love that movie.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That's
People
really
like-
good. I love that movie.
Yeah, I play the goth babysitter. I have like 2 lines. First time you met. We met when we auditioned together
For Remember Me.
for Remember Me. Did not get that part. But I think we met at a party before that.
I think you're thinking of the thing which was way later. That was when we really. I was like 21 years old when I did that.
We both know that.
Yeah. The last project before working on.
You were doing Tenet.
Mm-hmm. You were doing.
Yeah.
Were you doing your show?
What show?
Oh my god, this is terrible. I know what it's called.
You don't know.
I'm bored. Let's see. He did a weird Dior home.
Hey, I'm Robert Pattinson, and I'm going to talk about some of my iconic performances. That's true.
Yeah, it's like embarrassing him. It's like cringe, 7-wing-6, like, oh, my iconic performances. But he's not doing it in like a negativistic 4-fix way. It's like, he's not mocking anybody else by how the way he responds. He's doing it in like a kind of just like a silly.
Death and Harry Potter.
I don't think anybody thinks Robert Pattinson's 4-fix, but I'm doing this just for my own.
It's my claim to fame. It was definitely my concept to jump out of the tree, like at the beginning for my intro, which I then kind of repeated later on in Twilight. For some reason, I always have the suggestion to be like, why doesn't he just appear just like jumping out of a tree?
I don't know, that does seem weirdly SP 7-wing-6 to me, and with 9, because like 7-wing-6s are kind of, especially with 9, and you could say 7-4, 7-2, but 7 with 9 is like kind of one of the fairy or the pixie types, and then as P it makes sense. Like it's like I'm a little forest pixie, I'm like a little forest tree jumper, Tarzan.
Strapping young lad must be Cedric, am I right?
I'd sort of fallen into it. I mean, it was so terrifying. I remember the first scene I ever shot on that was in the magical maze at the end, and I'd never done anything with special effects and stunts, and it was a big deal at the time. It felt like very, very intimidating. I think I'd read a book on method acting. The only thing I really got out of that was just beating yourself up before every single scene. That was basically my only concept of how to prepare for a scene. I was psyching myself up as if I was getting into a fight or something before these scenes, and just
I think his 9-wing one got fixed because he just has such like this kind of, I don't know, too much nervous energy that I don't think it can just be him being like a 7-wing 6. I think he's got like other, yeah, like frustration-y, because 9-wing 8 got kind of maybe like makes you more like blobby, and he seems kind of high strung.
screaming into a pillow and punching myself and like kind of ripping my clothing and stuff. But I had all these prosthetic wounds on, and all of the prosthetics would melt off my face, and I'd have to have all my makeup done again. But I had no.
It kind of also looks a little bit like, who's that Belushi, the one that died young? Kind of like that's like a way skinnier version of that guy.
Concept of how to kind of get into a psyched up physical state. I remember holding a wand and thinking that it felt so dorky to hold it like a magic wand, so I'm holding it like a gun with two hands, thinking I'm in like a Die Hard movie. I think I even have one eye closed when I'm like looking down, like it's got a.
I also think this is probably some weird 7, maybe 7-3 thing, like not wanting to look like a dork.
It's got a viewfinder on it. I spent a lot of time living off the Harry Potter money. I moved to an apartment in Soho in London. I really thought I was going to do music at that point. I don't know where I had the kind of belief in that, because I was.
Well, also the curse of being a 7. I think I have ready. He does like a whole bunch of things. Not that like other types don't too, but he does seem to have multitudes of interests. And like I read one interview with him a long time ago that was like, I'm gonna butcher, but it was like during the pandemic or plandemic, whatever, where he was talking about like he was like inventing different food, and he went crazy in his room and like was like inventing like mac and cheese balls, or I don't even know what it was, but it was like coming up with business ideas, and I feel like that's like a SB7 thing where you can't help it, like, oh, that could be like a thing, oh, I could do that, oh, I could do this, like why not, possibilities, right, into the real world.
Absolutely no one saying that there's a kind of music career on the table, but I was doing a lot of gigs all the time. I was just constantly doing.
Yeah, and also drawing, like, I don't know, like who cares if somebody says it's a career option for you? That seems like he does have like wing 6, 9-3 alter ego, like triple attachment sort of awareness of like what other people care about or value. Seems, yeah, like who cares if that's on the table or not, you know what I mean?
Open mics all the time, and then.
But he's still a 7, so he's still gonna do whatever he feels like at the end of the day. But there's like more of an awareness, especially with social last.
I ran out of money basically. It was definitely going the wrong direction in terms of a career up until Twilight.
And then yeah, him like kind of like allowing that wind to like direct the direction he moves in is also like wing 6, 9-3 sort of. Him having to have like a lot of attachment in his type.
Twilight.
If he deeply secretly wants to be like a musician, maybe he'll circle back to it when he starts going bald or something. I don't know. When he starts noticing he's getting a receding hairline, and he'll have to go he'll go play bars, play Robert Pattinson originals at the bars for like attention when he's not getting cast as like. Actually, I don't think he seems like that concerned with being cast as the leading man, but maybe his 3-wing 4 heart will get a little bit sad about it later.
Think about something, and then the day of the audition, just my confidence was just entirely collapsed. The same thing happened the morning of the Twilight audition. I used to live on my agent's couch at the time.
Which is crazy.
And
also, okay, so what I call 7-9-3, just that try in general, I call a bunch of things. One of the things I call it is the pixie grifter, because it is like a grifter, a couch surfer, a beach bum. living on couches. I think I've read that he's done this a bunch of times. Like I think even when he was rich and famous, he was like living in like Reese Witherspoon's beach house or some shit. I don't know. It's like the freeloader kind of type.
apartment, and she sent me the
7-9 in general too, you know. It's like just 9779. And also I think social last where it's like gonna amplify that, where it's like, oh well, what do you mean people think that that's like
email exchange was like, I'm freaking out. I don't want to go to the audition anymore. And then underneath it saying, well, find a Valium in my bathroom. I'd never taken a Valium before. I just remember just feeling so glorious in the back of the taxi with the window open and just being like, wow, this is what I've been missing. And so I think I had
I don't know what class Valium is under, but yeah, benzos are great. I think they're like a version of benzos or something. Yeah, again, like sevens are the addict type, so especially probably more so with 9 in the mix. I'm not sure, or SX in the mix too. It's like be careful. I used to pop benzos and go walking around Walmart because I thought it was funny. So my doctor cut me off.
Had this sort of quite spacey, detached kind of thing in the audition, which must have kind of worked for the character.
That's Edward Cullen.
I do think there's something in that first
And
movie.
also, like, him just being like, oh, I got the role because I was high on Valium. Like,
You can see that people were taking it seriously, and it kind of.
So yeah, and like he's pointing out they were taking it seriously. I wasn't. This is again like some 7 stuff, 7, 9 kind of probably social last in the mix. Maybe I don't know.
It has a passion to it.
Everything about me invites you in. My voice, my face, even my smell.
You know, I was 21 and kind of wanted to make it as arty as possible. And so we had this strange tension where the studio was kind of a little bit scared to make things a little bit too emo and stuff. And I thought that was
like 3 wing 4s. Yeah, I can see the 4 stuff there. And also 9 fix emo. I think like any 9s can be emo in general. I think 9 wing 1s are the ones who more romanticize it though, and 9 wing 8s are more like intrusively emo. I don't know. Like they're negative. Whenever 9 wing 8s feel up, it's like there's this pervasive fart air that they create around themselves when they're like emo, and like 9 wing 1s is more like emo in my room writing like a sad poem or something. I think
only way to play it. It just seems so ridiculous talking about it now, because I was literally I spent so much time just infuriated. Like the whole it's definitely something about being 21 as well, because I can't believe like the way I was acting half the time, like when I think back on it. The scene when Edward introduces Bella to his family the first time, I remember that being the day, because my agent, my manager, like came up as a surprise visit, and I was like, oh hey, and just thought everything was fine. And then at lunch they were like, okay, so whatever you're doing right now, you need after lunch, just do the opposite or you'll be fired by the end of the day. And I was like, okay. And so that was the only thing that got me to sort of smile a little bit.
You're like my own personal brand of heroin.
I also think that if I tried to play it lighthearted, the way I would do it would end up looking so wrong, like that I'd probably end up looking even more like a psychopath.
These guys are terrible. This movie's crazy. Like, what is this movie? Why did this like erotically capture so many people? Like, what is this? I mean, this probably speaks to being social last. It's like social last 7 wing 6s are very hot, you know.
There was this big, like tons of people signing this petition to have me not cast, but nothing about my life really changed until the weekend, or maybe like a week before the movie came out. So when the signatures came, it just felt such an abstract, like I just didn't really care. And I was very excited about doing the movie. But yeah, then when it came out, it just changed everything so fast. I mean, it was overnight. Batman, that was no hesitation, yes. Even my agents and stuff just thought like, oh, this is interesting. I mean, I thought you only wanted to play like just total freaks all the time. Like, he is a freak. This is another freak. You look for things that...
Yeah, and again, that's like speaking to Seven, wanting to play the weird, 7w6 especially wanting to play the like weird, being attracted to roles that are like left of center, you know what I mean? Like not politically, obviously, but like off the beaten path, like you get to kind of play crazy, deranged, like jacked up. Like I think he plays like a real tweaker in Good Time. Yeah. And I mean he's kind of playing a 7w693, I think, in that. There's kind of but like a really low health one, like because it like I said, it's like kind of like that grifter, drug dealer, especially social last, like SPSX, sort of that kind of like sleazy kind of yeah, I'm gonna sleep on your couch, I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend, I'm gonna steal your money, I don't even remember what happens. I remember like poor, like I think they like drown a guy with pouring like cough syrup down his throat or something. I'm totally misremembering it. I should rewatch that though, actually. It's a pretty good movie.
They kind of scare you. Look at things that feel incredibly out of reach. It's such the kind of the jewel in the crown of characters.
You know, you really could be doing
The jewel in the crown of characters. Maybe that's what 3-wing-4 is. I'm gonna really know.
more for this city. Your family has a history of philanthropy, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
It's just a totally different vibe. I mean, it's sad. It's something which I always thought about Batman. I thought it's really, really sad. It's a tragedy. That's one of the reasons it feels kind of different, because it's like it's year 2. We're not going to do the origin story again. Instead of him getting over his parents dying at the beginning and then just becoming Batman and saving Gotham, now he really hasn't gotten over them at all. And it's kind of, and I'm playing the parents' death constantly the whole time.
Riddler's latest. It's all about the Waynes.
Yeah, and he's like pointing out what's like, it's like how it's repetitive and like it's just doing the same thing over and over again, which 7s and 7 fixers will notice because we get bored. We get bored with repetition and monotony and everything else.
If we don't stand up, no one will.
Whereas like a 6 head could think that's a positive, right? It's like we're gonna follow the tradition, what's already established. People like it.
I always like approaching the kind of major character like that.
Or it's like this real leap of like, we're doing something different. Wow. Like, okay.
If you look at it very literally, or like from an emotional context, it does end up becoming kind of something kind of strange, and it's always kind of shocks you what comes out of it. I mean, I didn't really realize how sad it would make me feel. There's something about
it. And that's probably some kind of like SX pull for him towards acting, is that that there is like all of these surprises and chaoses and like things that he can't expect that kind of keeps him hooked into acting, which, because I think for core 7s, it can be a little bit tough to like stick to one path continuously unless you're getting like this constant hit from it. Like there's always things changing or moving or disrupting or causing drama or whatever that thing is. Like it's pulling things surprising out of you or out of the ether and you're discovering it. So I think that like when you see 7s who do kind of seem to like stick to like somewhat of a trajectory, it's because they're getting something. They're getting treats out of it. They're getting something.
His relationship with Selena Kyle as well, and
that is different than what, like, say, 3 would be motivated by getting, you know, their value appreciated. They'd be like worshipped or whatever. Like you take like a 3 with a 7, like Madonna, for example, and she's like, she reinvents herself a lot, but it's like to stay relevant. You know, it's like because she's trying to maintain appeal and like get those hits of like, see, I'm still relevant, like this kind of thing. So she's using her 7 to feed the 3, but you get like a 7 who's using, like a 7 is going to be doing it for more like pure, well, in my mind, pure reasons, where it's like, I'm just doing it for the dopamine and I'm doing it because it's fun, because it's crazy, I don't know what's going to happen. And like a 9s can fall asleep and just stay at a path because they're already on the path, and then it will be like, okay, I'll just keep doing it, and like maybe they'll find something interesting in it each time. And they're slower to, 7 fixers are slower to feel trapped than 7 cores. So, you know, he seems like he does actually jump around role wise, and I don't even know that he's ever talking about things like, you know, like it's pushing him to his depths or his creative limits as an actor. Like it just seems like more what he kind of is like interested in the moment. Like, oh, that kind of spoke to me, or like that sounded kind of fun, or that sounded kind of crazy, or like, man, that seems like him. I think he said he approached the Safdie brothers. It's like they seem like chaotic and like maybe it'd be interesting to work with them kind of thing. Anyways, I think I'm done. So yeah, Robert Pattinson. So I think he's self-prosexual, 7-wing-6, 9-wing-1, 3-wing-4. Okay. So, yeah. So, like I said, Pixie Grifter. I also call it like the Faun star, like Faun star. Because it's kind of like a hedonist type. It's kind of like it's the Dionysian or whatever kind of archetype, right? 7 in general is, but the Pied Piper, especially with SX. And then he is wing 6, 9, 3, which is the changeling, shapeshifter, alter ego. And then his shadow type is 6, 1, 4, which is the dark Karen, scab doily, as I like to call it. I had another name for it too that I like. I can't remember what it is in this moment. Anyways, it's a terrible type. So that's what his shadow is, not his main type. So he probably finds like super Karen-y people really annoying, but he probably has like a little bit of a Karen, a maudlin Karen streak. Oops, I just realized I'm friends with someone who's that trifix. Sorry if you watch this, I do like you. Okay, bye.